welcome to HETMA Presents Chair to Chair. This is the podcast where I sit down with the incredible leaders driving innovation and community within HETMA, the Higher Education Technology Managers Alliance. I'm Erin Maher-Moran, Chair of HETMA's Board of Directors, and I'm excited to bring you into conversations that go beyond the day-to-day of technology management. In each episode, we'll explore not just what our committee chairs do for HETMA, but who they are as people, professionals, and leaders. We'll dive into their career journeys and the moments that shape their perspectives and the visions that drive their work in higher education technology. Most importantly, we'll connect their stories to the themes and challenges that matter most to our community right now. Whether you're a longtime HETMA member, considering getting more involved, or simply curious about the people who dedicate their time to advancing our profession, these conversations are for you. So settle in and let's go chair to chair. And in the chair today, I have Troy Powers from Northwestern University, who is HETMA's vice chair. So thank you for chatting with me today, Troy.
Absolutely. Glad to be here.
Yeah. So this month's theme for HETMA in our best year ever is Road Work Ahead, Handling Failure. Redefine failure as feedback, share lessons learned, normalize mistakes, and reinforce what missteps are actually a sign that you're moving forward. So, that aside, let's start off, Troy, with your journey. You started at George Mason, now you're at Northwestern, and how, what drew you into the higher ed, technology game?
I worked construction most of my adult life. I was an electrician for about a decade. I was hurt on the job, and I went back to school because of that. Just sort of fell into working at the AV department on George Mason's campus. And after a couple of years working as a student, they hired me, full time before I graduated, and just kind of. The rest is history, right? I worked there for it was like 3 days shy of 10 years, and then came out here to Northwestern, and I've been here going on 4 years now.
And what is it about working in higher ed in general that that keeps you doing it?
I believe in the mission. Higher education. It's funny. I'm in grad school now, and I literally just turned in an op-ed paper last night where I talked about this. And I think education is the thing that fixes all of the problems of the world. Long term, right? We can't fix things if we don't learn how to fix them. And I like to be a small little part of that. I think. Higher education, the basic research that, goes on, leads, we wouldn't have, the internet, global positioning satellites, just to name a couple simple everyday tools that we all use that wouldn't exist without the simple basic research that higher education performs. At a large cost to itself, right? We get big government grants, but those grants don't cover the cost of that research, right? So, I don't think higher education maybe does a good enough job marketing itself in kind of those small achievements that it's responsible. Well, I guess large achievements that it's responsible for, and it probably should do a better job of it.
Absolutely. And so you're currently serving as HETMA's vice chair. Tell everybody a little bit, about your entry into HETMA and your path of leadership that you've taken within the org.
HETMA, 2020, HETMA took over was it early 2021? I don't know, whatever.
The time during that time period is relative, really.
HETMA took over all of the education sessions from Avixa, and Avixa marketed that big time. I had not heard about HETMA before. We attended the education sessions online for the second virtual conference. I thought it was a great, community. Really enjoyed watching Jimmy and Joe, in the conference room at USC bickering with each other, and just the conversations that happened, and started attending the monthly meetings. I went out to Infocom in October of 21, met everybody, and it was right around that time that Jimmy left higher education, left USC, and went to we're at CDW first for a while, and now he's at SPL. But his position was left vacant, and I said to Joe, I said, look, if nobody else does it, I'll do it, and really was kind of hoping that somebody else was going to do it. It just kind of worked out well where, my daughter Brooke, who a lot of people have met, at Infocom, scanning badges, she was sick, and we kind of finally got her to a place where her illnesses were managed, and she could live a normal life. And I had just a lot of time on my hands that wasn't spent at doctor's offices and things. So it worked out, and I planned the virtual conference in 2022, and then we did 2023 and 2024, and we won awards for two of those 3 years, best conference of the year, or best virtual conference of the year, I guess. But so did a good job there, and I was, thankfully, our peers in HETMA decided that I was worthy of a board position. I was voted in as 2-year at large. And about halfway, about a quarter through that term, Ryan, just through life changes, had to step away, and here I am. I guess vice chair is a very different position than any of the other ones I've held. There's not really a defense to be done, and take over wherever, whatever needs to be done, really. A lot of dealing with sponsors and talking with new sponsors, I think honestly just because there was nobody else doing it early on. Like I think my role, I think, has been a little bit weird in HETMA because early on it was me and John and Donovan, and there was no other chairs doing. So we did a lot of the extra work that just had to get done because nobody else was doing it. And I think I just never put down some of those balls. And now as vice chair, I think I think this is probably where some of those things belong anyway. Yeah, I guess that's kind of the journey.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, it is a tough thing to step into a role that really is undefined. Like when taking over, it's kind of like, so what did you do here? And I was like, all the things. That's basically
whatever came up. Yeah, I just did whatever.
It's like someone adds you to a meeting, go to the meeting. Do help out where you can. Yeah, it
Definitely.
can be a little difficult there. So how do you balance supporting like my vision as the chair, while also kind of preparing to potentially step into this leadership role yourself at some point?
I think there's definitely, there's definitely more things that you're doing, that I'm not involved with. But I think really in terms of leadership, I think we just have such a good relationship, chair, vice chair, and then Joe and BC as former, and even Ryan, as a former vice chair, chiming in too. And then also with the current board, that it's really just a communal kind of leadership, thing that's happening here. And like I said, obviously, you are definitely taking some extra calls and getting some extra emails that I'm not always involved in. So there's extra work there. But I think, HETMA's been so collaborative, at that leadership level for so long that a chair position is definitely a little bit more involved. But just the way we've run the organization, and Joe and BC, kind of being there, as in that kind of advise and consent role, like I think it would be hard to kind of stop the momentum that we've built. Whether it's me taking over or anybody taking over, kind of in any of these roles, I think we've done a good job of kind of working together and building that communal leadership. So.
Yeah. And the chat that we all have is superb.
Absolutely, 100%.
It is something to, aspire to be top leadership so that you get to be part of the ridiculous conversations.
Absolutely. You get to see all the AI outtakes that nobody else gets to see.
Right? Yeah. There's definitely a lot of stuff that doesn't end up making it to public view, but for various reasons. But anyway. So was there anything about the vice chair position that kind of surprised you when you got started?
I think just how much work it was. I think, I think working as a chair, for me, I think was more work than when I took on the board position. And I think probably that has to do with just the way when I took on the chair role and how that was built. I would say I think our board members, today are probably working just as hard as our chairs are. But I think we just took on extra roles, early on because there was nobody else doing them. So I felt like a sense of relief as the 2 year. Oh man, this is a little bit easier. I just have to manage emails, have some meetings, and and then becoming vice chair, just the number of emails that I get on a daily basis, just new inquiries, just questions from, chairs, from sponsors, from members. It's a lot more. Nothing I can't handle. Obviously, we're still going, and I'm not quitting anytime soon. But and not a complaint. Not just it's more than I expected. Definitely not a complaint. I love kind of HETMA means a great deal to me. And I truly believe in the mission that we have and the work that we're doing, and to be involved, kind of at the highest levels of its leadership is truly like an honor for me. So.
Yeah, and what is it about HETMA that makes you want to get so deeply involved?
Oh, that's a good question. I think HETMA, I think at its core, I think is an organization that strives just to just be there for everyone, to help everyone, and I think that there aren't a ton of organizations like that. I think we've got a ton of great organizations in higher ed and in the AV industry, and I would never take anything away from any of those other organizations. But there's so many are membership driven, and while HETMA, we certainly have our members. We look at that differently with no cost membership, and things like that. But I think we look beyond our members. Like I'm not here, doing the work that I'm doing to make things better for my members. I'm here to make things better for the entirety of the higher education vertical in the audiovisual industry. And I think that's a little bit different. I think it's a little bit ambitious, maybe too ambitious, honestly. Cause sometimes when I sit back and think of what we're trying to do, with pushing for, global, I don't know just pushing to be a global organization, right? What a task, all the languages. I don't know how we'll do it, but then we just kind of seem to be doing it. I think I like I said, just truly believe in what we're doing and just love to be a part of it. And just honestly can't wait to see kind of what happens next, because I'm always surprised, even at the highest levels of leadership, like the way things just kind of take a shape on kind of on their own, and you just kind of have to catch up to it. It's love it. Love being a part of it.
Right. Yeah. And I feel like no matter how organized I try to get things and really like put things to schedules and write out our job descriptions and do all these things, like I feel like, and maybe that's part of what makes HETMA so amazing is that I kind of feel like we are always putting the car together while we're still driving down the highway. And there's like an element of like excitement to that. And because we have an idea and we move, we don't take the time to, where I think, especially in higher ed, a lot of times things move so slowly. Like an idea happens, you got to bring it to committee, you've got to and go through all of these steps and red tape. And where at HETMA, we're like, I've got this idea, and it's like, yes, go and let's figure out how to make it happen. And next thing you know, there's an announcement. Joe's got breaking news. Like we're doing the things, and then it's like, well, how are we going to make that happen?
It's
We'll work it out.
it's so funny, the way you said, how higher ed moves so slow. Maybe that has everything to do with why we move so quickly at HETMA, because we're all just so sick and tired of moving so slow at our day jobs. It's funny because it's not even just moving quickly, because like there might not be any movement on anything, and then in the middle of the night Joe gets a bug up his ass, and now we've got press releases about some new project that we're doing, and it's fun. Yeah, it's exciting. Absolutely.
Absolutely. And it always makes me like we've got all the things that we're working on, but I'm like super excited because there's going to be something new and next that's going to pop up, and we'll be like, yes,
Yeah.
let's go. Always super excited, and definitely like just I love all the opportunities that we have started to create to get our people together.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
that's so much like it gives me such energy and life. And yeah, definitely looking forward to the EDUCAUSE and the Nashville Roadshow that's coming up. Sorry, Troy won't be at this one.
It's all good. It's all good. I've been around to plenty of events this year.
Right? Yeah. Sometimes you gotta sit them out.
That's right.
But yeah, so
We're
let's.
gonna have a good crowd there, so it'll be good.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So let's transition a little bit to talking about our theme this month. So, the handling failure. And so think about your career journey and share a moment when something didn't quite go as planned.
To me, just really close to mind, something that didn't go as planned is, the event we held here in July, the Roadshow at Northwestern. It was, when I first started planning it, I talked to my buddy Ron, and always gives me great advice. And he told me, you know what? Don't have an outdoor event. He said, just don't do that. And I said, whatever, man. It's going to be fine.
I'll do what I want.
It's going to be fine. Yeah, exactly. And so, yeah, we planned, and I talked this up because, is it going to be a pig roast? I've been talking up having a pig roast, and like, it was a year and a half probably. Honestly, I think we came up with the idea during the October, the second road show, the first one in Chicago, that was tied to EDUCAUSE in 23. We came up with the idea then. I've been talking about it since then. Lots of planning, outdoor event, had a big old tent. Tents are really way more expensive than I expected them to be. But you had the pig roast, all set up. I had to meet him at about 11 o'clock. The whole day, weather looked good. About noon, weather starting to not look good. By about 3:30, 4 o'clock, the weather was really not looking good. And sent the rest of the team out to go down to a boat ride. Sure was nice enough to take them on a little architecture tour, which ended up getting canceled for the weather anyway. And I stayed behind, just keep an eye on things and wait for the pig roast, and the downpour came, and just sitting in that tent in the dark, watching just the whole tent that we had spent all day set up flood. I was honestly one of the most depressing times of my life. Just like having to move, and it was just me. Like I couldn't move everything, like just couldn't move, and there was nowhere to move it to really. So that was a complete nightmare. I left, the pig guy got there about 11:30 at night, spoke with him, got him set up, and went home just drenched, like just completely wet. And knew we were going to have to pivot in the morning. Like I already knew, didn't bother anybody else. Like, cause I knew everybody was getting up early already anyway. And I just wanted them to have enjoy their night down in the city. Got up early. I think Chris was up even before me. Chris Dietrich was up before me, texting. I think we might have to. So yeah, I was there last night. It's bad. So yeah, I mean, in about an hour, we moved everything, all of the equipment, all of the not the tables. We had tables inside. All the equipment, all the electronics, all of the electric cabling, like everything. Moved it. Inside too. I mean, the building was within sight, but it wasn't like a short walk. It was probably 300 or 400 yards at least. Couldn't have outside food in the building because the contract they have.
Of course.
So we had to set up breakfast outside. Lunch we had to walk back over to the flooded tent. We still had happy hour over at the flooded tent. I mean, that's pivot from failure, like basically, and I'll tell you what, our sponsors came together like nothing else. When we got into that room, finally, man, cause there was a little bit of a chance that we had lost the backup space. Actually, I don't think anybody knows that yet, except for me and Erin. There was, not this Erin from Northwestern. I don't think anybody else knows that. Yeah, like he said, wait a minute, looks like somebody took my reservation off for our backup space. And thankfully that worked out okay. But that was a scary little bit of time. But it, I don't know. It worked out. That's our sponsor. So when we got into the room, all of them just stepped up, were setting up their own tables. Funny, we had it all. We curated the whole thing to lay out people next to, wouldn't be next to their competitors, and I honestly, people just took tables, and I think we ended up having like cues next to restaurant because they just kind of set up like that. So I mean, it was just a crazy, like kind of a nightmare of a setup, but the event got together, and honestly, it turned out to be a great event. Most signups and most attended roadshow we've had yet. 198 signups, about 140 attendees. It turned out into just a great event. Did have one vendor who did not stay to show because I actually feel just completely awful about it, but they slipped in the mud and went home. And I'm not putting anybody out there, but yeah, so we actually covered them a spot for the Nashville Roadshow. Had one complaint from Ron because he complained, had to carry his case. He had to carry his case the whole way, but he didn't have to. He could have drove up. He just chose to not ask. So that's his fault. I don't know. Good event. Couldn't have been happier with it. I guess I could have been happier if it didn't rain, right? I could have been happier with it. It worked out, and super successful. The pig was amazing. I actually still have a little bit of it in my freezer.
Oh, jealous.
Yeah. So,
But looking back at it now, like what did that experience teach you about like adaptability and resilience?
I mean, nothing's ever gonna go the way you planned it. Everything's gonna go to shit at some point, and you have to be ready. And yeah, make as many plans as you can, and try to plan for contingencies but be prepared to just work on the fly and just make quick decisions and just, if you, and just be okay with the consequences of those decisions, right? If I don't have much time to decide and I need to decide, I'm going to tell you what to do and we're going to do it. And if things go wrong and that was the wrong decision, I'll own that. And okay, I made that decision and that's on me. But like, you can't just sit and be like paralyzed with indecision. You gotta just move and you can't panic, can't, let like emotions and all of what's going on kind of overwhelm you. You just gotta put your head down and just do it. Like I think in higher ed, we're especially attuned to this because at the end of the day, every single classroom is a live event. We manage thousands of live events every quarter semester, thousands of them, so don't like think to yourself that you can't handle like something in an emergency, because that's what you're doing every single day working as a tech manager in higher ed is managing 100, 150, 250, whatever live events all day. So we're all perfectly capable of like performing under pressure. We've all done it before, and obviously, yeah, it can be tough, when you're kind of thinking about it, but yeah, just put your head down and just do the work that you know how to do.
Yeah. The show must go on. The class always has to happen. Like, you just keep going. So is that how you how do you create the environment where like your team feels safe to take the risks and potentially fail?
I mean, that's, like you just, I think provide training opportunities, give them this, like, I tell my team, go out and try, right? Don't, like I'm here to help you, if you need help. And if you need to escalate an issue up to me, let's do it. But try to exhaust your options first, right? Did you look through the manuals? Did you talk to support? Did you reach out to colleagues that have the same equipment in our university or outside of it? Like, are there other steps that you could have taken? Like exhaust all those options, because I think they learn more from kind of trying and failing themselves than they do from me coming in and kind of even if I kind of puppet and make them do the work. I think like learning for yourself and being in the mud, in the trenches and doing that work, like when there's a faculty member, tapping you on the shoulder in a class full of students staring at your back. Like that's when you don't forget those fixes, right? You don't forget those solutions. So I think there's something to be said about just kind of not leaving them out there to fail, right? But giving them space to fail if they need to. So.
Yeah. So what would you say to someone who's hesitant to step into like a leadership type role because they're afraid of making mistakes?
You're always going to make mistakes. I make mistakes all the time. You're always going to make mistakes. If you are waiting to be mistake-free before you take that next step in your career, you will never take the next step in your career. I've never fully met every qualification for any job that I've ever applied for, ever. And I will continue to apply for jobs that I don't meet every qualification for. I hate to say this, but fake it till you make it, right? Like there's not really a better teacher, I think, than like being forced to learn, right? I'm in the shit, and now I have a problem that I have to figure out. Obviously, don't get yourself so far over your head that you've never done any of this work, right? Don't wait until you fill every qualification 100%. If you've got some experience in those roles and you can kind of check off most of those things, apply. Have that interview. Talk to the hiring manager. Like, it might be the perfect fit for you. And leadership it can be scary to kind of take on that role and be in charge of people, but like at the end of the day, like it's like I'm just here to protect my guys. I'm here to do work and then like keep my guys safe. Keep them working, keep them from messing up themselves. Keep them going. Like just here to kind of keep you guys on point and safe and I don't know. Being a leader's we're all leaders to some extent, right?
Yeah. But yeah, and like how boring would that be to be in a job where like you know everything already? Like then you kind of have to be a certain kind of person, I guess, to motivate yourself to learn more, do more,
Absolutely.
you know. Like
In tech
yes,
roles,
always be learning no matter what. Like once you hit that like I fulfilled all the things.
right,
I know all the stuff in my job. Start learning something else.
right.
That's
In
the
tech roles, it's so easy because everything's new all the time, so you don't have a choice but to continually be learning, right? So there's something of a benefit to that because you'll get left behind very quickly if you stop trying, stop going out, stop learning things.
yeah.
Um,
But how do you distinguish between like a good failure that teaches something and a failure that just should have been avoided?
I mean, I think there's always something to learn from failure. And even if it's like that was stupid, like that, there's something to learn from every failure. Because sometimes failures happen because you made a bad decision, and I think the thing with, I mean, outcomes are the determining factor, right? Like, I mean, like at the end of the day, it's hard to say you made a right decision if everything went wrong. You know what I mean? So outcomes, I think, are the big telling factor. I think in higher ed, I think one of the key, you just kind of you treat everybody the same. Follow the processes. And then it's hard for anybody to get upset if I say, well, this is the process that we have laid out, and I followed the process. I think good failures. Learn from it. Something you took a valuable piece of information away from it. That's a good failure. You learned nothing and things went wrong. That's a bad failure, right?
You should have at least learned don't do that again.
Don't do that again, right? Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. So let's talk a little bit about building resilience and something like what systems or support structures help you bounce back when things don't go as planned?
Oh, that's an interesting question. I think bouncing back from, I think just, it's hard to say that there's a lot of, I don't know that there's a good process that makes you bounce back from that. I think it's just, Ted Lasso, be a goldfish, right? Don't remember, be a goldfish. Like I can't change what just happened. All I can change is how I react to it. How I'm gonna act, what I'm going to do moving forward, right? If somebody calls me and tells me, you ruined this by doing this, and that's my fault. Okay, I did that, right? I can't change. It's done. There's nothing we can do about that now. All I can do is, okay, I'm sorry that happened to you. What can we do to make this right now? I think. You can't dwell on the things that you did wrong, and you can't beat yourself up for it all the time either, because everybody makes mistakes. We all make mistakes. I think it's different today, and how they're kind of teaching kids in school today. But, when I was in school, when you failed something, that was it, right? You can get another chance, right? And that's not what real life is like, right? If one of my guys fails and does something wrong, was that it? And he just gets to walk away from it and never touch it again? No, absolutely not. We go back and we fix that thing and we do that thing right. So I think, just learning from the things that you did wrong and just moving on from them in the right way. I think that's kind of it's all you can do. You can't dwell on the things you did wrong. You can just respond to them in the right way. And take ownership of the things you should take ownership of, and place blame isn't the right word, but I can't think of the right word, like don't own things that you didn't do, right? If somebody else did something and caused this problem, like advocate for yourself, advocate for your team, But if you did something, own it. And like as a leader, and this comes back to that leadership question. As a leader, I own it, right? My team doesn't own it. And if you say, well, who on your team? I did it. It's my fault. I'm in charge. Ultimately, the responsibility is mine. If you have a problem with it, you'll tell me the problem, and I will take it to my team and deal with my team, not you, right? So.
Oh gosh, yeah, especially when it comes to student employees.
Oh,
It's all like, oh yeah,
100%.
buck stops here. I
100%.
will I will face the brunt of any of the things
Yeah.
when it comes to them. But yeah, so what role does community play in helping us navigate these setbacks and learn from them?
Higher ed is very communal. Yeah, HETMA's a great organization, great communal organization. It's got a great community, so it's a great place to kind of start. But just higher ed in general. There's a ton of different organizations like, Northwestern's in the Big Ten. We have every Big Ten school, like basically every department in the Big Ten has a Big Ten alliance with every other Big Ten school with like monthly meetings. Like that's a pretty normal thing. It was not dissimilar, in Colonial, when George Mason was still with the Colonial. And I think there's just all of these different organizations within your university, within the state system, if you're in a public system, like just a ton of different organizations that kind of can help, be that community. For AV specifically, like I said, HETMA is an amazing community. You should come here. You should ask your question here. We're all around. I can't tell you how much I've learned just having a conversation with my peers at conferences. HETMA meetings. Honestly, the happy hour that we have at the end of the third Friday, right? It's where some of the best conversations I've ever had. Some of the best learning. That I've ever done has taken place there because just such insightful conversations and just little things that people say that kind of trigger something in your brain. It's like, holy shit, that would fix my, so I think just being around the community, just having those conversations, and then just having the place to vent too, right? To complain about things. I was recently reorganized. Maybe I shouldn't say this publicly, but whatever. I was recently reorganized into a new department at work. If one of them is going to be out in some department that I'm not involved in at all, and I've never met this person before, they email the whole listserv. And I must get 10 emails a day from people I've never met before. And I'm in this department. I should meet them. Absolutely. It's only been a few weeks, so. But I don't care if you're out. Tell your boss. I don't care. It doesn't affect me at all. I don't care. That's, so I don't know.
No, I get that. I was like, back to the emails. Like, we get so many emails as it is. I don't need yet another one telling me that somebody that has nothing to do with my daily day is out.
Yeah.
Thank you, but no. So how has your involvement with HETMA helped you develop as a leader?
We've been forced to lead people. Right? I have always had a problem delegating. I don't like delegate. I never liked delegating things. And being the conference chair that first year, I did basically every fucking thing myself. We had some meetings, but I did all of it myself. And it was so much work. And it was so last minute, down to the wire to get it done just because there's not enough time in the day. The next year, it didn't happen like that. There was a lot of delegation. That's when the actual committee, weekly meetings were happening. It was just delegation had to happen because it physically did not have enough time to do it. So I think forcing me to get out of my comfort zone is how HETMA really kind of probably helped me with my leadership journey more than anything else. Because now I have no problem delegating problems. I had no problem at all delegating things to people and do it pretty often, probably on a daily basis. So,
yeah, Yeah, you gotta like if something can be done by somebody else, then it should be done by somebody else. That is my philosophy at this moment, especially since I'm constantly feeling like I am just running out of time. Like
There's
there's
some
just
things that you know, as a leader, there's some things that you have to be the person that does it. There's nothing else,
yeah.
and some of those things can't be put off. You know, I mean, some things you can set off or whatever, but some things can't be set off, and you're just stuck. So yeah, it's tough. It's tough. Got to be
Yeah.
able to delegate. That's important.
So, what's one practice or mindset shift that's helped you kind of just normalize making mistakes?
You know what? I'll come back to what I said a few minutes ago. Ted Lasso, be a goldfish. Be a goldfish. I think. Um, what's his name? Wimmer Boniface. He was I think a Jesuit missionary. He had a quote, and I don't like the whole quote because it gets kind of a religious tone, so I don't say that part. But forward, always forward, everywhere forward. You know, that's how I try to kind of live my life. Like, you know, obviously you're going to look back, you know, at your day, at your year, and kind of, you know, make some adjustments on your life, right, based on successes and failures. But move forward. Like, don't dwell on things that have happened in the past. Just keep walking. You know, because it's you know, if you just don't stop, like that's a force. Like the you know.
As the vice chair of HETMA, like you're helping shape our future. So what excites you most about what's next or where we're heading?
I think just the global nature of the organization, like that kind of push. It's super ambitious. It's something that I've heard from you know people at many different corners of the world say that they would like to see it and they want it, and you know, so it's one of those things where you know I think you know other organizations have kind of stuck to their comfort zone so far, right? And not kind of pushed to, because it's like, how do we do it, right? You know, like there's how many languages do we have to, you know, like it's a really difficult proposition, and like every time we're talking about it, like another kind of like, oh shit, we didn't think about that,
Oh, right. Like
comes up.
companies and
Yeah,
how they handle things are
yeah.
different
I,
there. And
I, the,
how do we do the approved program? Like,
tax implications,
yeah. Oh
you know,
gosh. Yeah.
shipping costs to go overseas for conferences. I mean, just little stupid things. It's so much, and this is why nobody else is doing this. But you know, it's and I think that's kind of why it's such a cool thing that we're doing, you know, because it is so difficult and there is so many challenges, but it's something that this is why, you know, I said earlier, you know, HETMA, I think exists to help people. Like that's what we were built for, and to help people kind of freely, in terms of like not holding back like IP, but also no cost, right? So, just there's that's special, and I think sharing that with the world is important. So yeah, I think that's what I'm kind of most excited for is just continuing to see, you know, the that gaudy yellow green go everywhere.
Love that. Love that green. At first, I was like,
Fuck that color.
really?
I'll wear that shirt.
That's the color we're going with when we were establishing our branding. But now I'm like, yeah,
No,
everywhere, all the green, all the time.
right.
So like, how do you want to see HETMA continue to support its members?
I think, you know, one of my big goals, as vice chair has been I want to create better connections, like direct connections between our members and our sponsors. I think that's one of the things that doesn't exist everywhere, and so I think that's probably the big one, where and I think like you know different thoughts, you know, I think you know maybe doing some different kind of dinners, you know, at different conferences, things like that, where you know we get specific you know groups of people who are you know are looking to purchase or already purchase you know specific vendor products, kind of getting everybody together, to have a conversation, whether that's, over coffee, over drinks, over lunch or dinner, at a conference. I think that's a great kind of simple way to do it. But regionally, get regional groups together. I think, I'm kind of mostly focused, obviously, in the Midwest, because, that's kind of where I'm at in Chicago. And we've got a lot of manufacturers headquartered in Chicago. And I've had conversations with all of those people, and we're looking to do things like, tour their experience centers or their manufacturing warehouses. Maybe, I think kind of the hope is to, put it off until summer and maybe do like every other Friday or one Friday a month or something, and however that works out. But get people together. Let's go look at a thing. Let's go learn a thing together. Let's go, talk about a thing together, like whatever. And then, maybe we'll have some lunch. Maybe we'll stop by and have a drink or something. Also, maybe we'll go play top golf or, whatever kind of fun experience. There's been some talk. I'm not going to throw company names out, but there's been some talk about renting out a Wrigley rooftop for a Cubs game, So like there's some fun things that we could be doing too, but kind of all around like those kind of networking conversations, and then, learning something together, whatever, touring this facility together. So, I think that's kind of what I want to do, and what I want to see, us expand in HETMA.
Love that. Absolutely love that. So to, wrap this up, how can our listeners connect with you or get involved with HETMA's initiatives?
So HETMA.org, that brings you to our landing page. Bring you right into our community. HETMA has an app. Just search HETMA in the App Store or on the Android App Store. It's a great app. It's the best app on the App Store, actually. So, why not get it? Vice chair at HETMA.org is my email. Troy.powers@northwestern.edu is my email there. Troy Story over at Higher Ed AV Media. LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on X at SentexRZ. Lots of ways to contact me. I'm happy to talk to anybody any way. So.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Troy, for your honesty, resilience, and your willingness to share with us.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So your story about the Northwestern Roadshow reminds us all that setbacks aren't roadblocks. They're just detours that often take us to better destinations than we maybe were even originally planned. So if today's conversation resonated with you, I encourage you to share your own road work ahead story with someone in your network. Normalizing mistakes and celebrating what we learn from them is how we build a culture where innovation can thrive and people feel safe to take the risks that lead to real growth. So next month, I'll be exploring Pit Stop, Grounded Gratitude with another incredible HETMA leader. So be sure to subscribe to the HETMA Presents channel so you can keep up with all of the great content we continue as we continue this journey together. So until then, keep moving forward, keep learning from the detours, and remember, the road work is just proof that you're building something worth traveling toward. I'm Erin Maher-Moran, and this has been HETMA Presents Chair to Chair. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for tuning in to HETMA Presents. This show is a production of Higher Ed AV Media. Please visit higherEdAV.com to learn more about this show and a host of others. The views expressed here are not necessarily those of our respective institutions, employers, or sponsors. We'll be back soon with another installment of HETMA Presents.